3 books that secretly rewire your brain. In 1945, a man walked out of a concentration camp with nothing. No family, no possessions, no manuscript he had spent years writing. Every single thing that made him who he was had been destroyed. And yet, within a decade, that man had built an entirely new school of psychology that would go on to reshape how millions of people understand suffering. His name was Viktor Frankl. And his story is the first domino in a chain that, if you let it, will dismantle everything you think you know about why your life feels the way it does. Today, I am going to walk you through 3 books, not self-help, not feel-good advice. 3 psychological frameworks disguised as books that have a strange side effect. The person who starts reading them is not the same person who finishes, and the third one, the one almost nobody talks about, might be the most dangerous of all. Here is something most people get wrong about survival. They assume the strongest survive, the toughest, the ones with the most willpower. Viktor Frankl watched people die in Auschwitz who were physically stronger than the ones who lived. He watched men twice his size give up in days. And he watched frail, starving prisoners hold on for months. The difference was not physical. It was not even mental in the way we usually talk about mental strength. It was directional. The people who survived had something pulling them forward. A wife they believed was still alive, a book they had not finished writing, a reason that existed beyond the walls of the camp. Frankl called this logotherapy. The idea that the deepest human drive is not pleasure, not power, not comfort. It is meaning, and when meaning disappears, the body follows. Now here is why this matters to you, even if your life looks nothing like a concentration camp. Most people are walking around without a clear reason for the life they are building. They are optimizing for comfort, for approval, for the absence of pain. And Frankl would tell you that is the exact formula for a slow psychological death. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, does not just recount what happened to him. It rewires how you interpret your own suffering. After you read it, the next time something terrible happens, your brain does something different. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, it asks, what can this become? That single shift is worth more than 100 productivity hacks. Now here's where things start to get uncomfortable. The second book is the Almanack of Naval Ravikant, compiled by Jorgenson. And the reason this book unsettles people is because it attacks something most of us have never questioned: the way we think about work. Naval Ravikant is not a motivational speaker. He is a technology investor who got very wealthy and then spent years publicly dissecting exactly how it happened. Not in vague terms, in structural terms. He separates wealth into 2 categories that most people never distinguish. The first is renting your time. That is what a salary is. You show up, you perform, you get paid. The moment you stop showing up, the money stops. The second is owning equity. Building something that generates value, whether you are present or not. And Naval makes a claim that sounds simple, but is quietly devastating. He says you will never get rich renting your time. Not because you are not talented, not because you are not working hard, but because the math does not work. There are only so many hours in a day, and if your income is directly tied to them, you have a ceiling that no amount of effort will break through. But the part of this book that hit me harder than the wealth section was the part about happiness. Naval does not treat happiness the way the internet does. He does not sell it as something you unlock after you achieve enough. He treats it as a skill, a trainable default state. He argues that most of your unhappiness comes from one place: wanting the present moment to be different from what it actually is. That is it. That is the entire engine of human dissatisfaction running underneath everything you do. And once you see that mechanism clearly, something very strange starts to happen. You stop chasing and start choosing. Now we arrive at the third book. And this is the one I need you to actually pay attention to. It is called The Courage to be Disliked. It was written by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. And it is based on the work of a psychologist named Alfred Adler. You have probably heard of Freud. You have probably heard of Jung. Adler was their contemporary. He worked alongside them, but history mostly forgot him. That is not an accident. It happened because Adler's ideas are harder to accept than Freud's. Freud tells you that your childhood shaped you, that your trauma explains your behavior, that your past is the reason you are stuck. That feels true. That feels compassionate. That also feels like a very comfortable place to stop. Adler says something completely different. He says your past does not determine your present. He says trauma does not cause your behavior. He says you are not a product of what happened to you. You are a product of the goals you are unconsciously pursuing right now. Read that again. You are not broken because of what happened. You are choosing a pattern because it serves a purpose you have not examined yet. That is the most confrontational idea in modern psychology. And the book builds on it with a concept Adler called the separation of tasks. Your choices, your feelings, your direction, those are your tasks. How other people respond to your choices, that is their task. And the moment you start carrying their task, you lose your life. This is where the title lands. The courage to be disliked is literally that. The willingness to live according to your own values, even when the people around you disapprove. Even when it costs you approval. Even when it costs you belonging. Most people will never do this. Most people will die having lived someone else's life and calling it their own. Adler is the only psychologist who looks you in the eye and asks, whose life are you actually living? Now here is what happens when you hold all three of these books in your mind at the same time. They are not saying the same thing, but they are pointing at the same invisible structure. Frankl says suffering becomes fuel when you assign it meaning. Naval says your time and attention are the only assets that matter, and how you direct them is your entire life. Adler says you are not a prisoner of your history. You are a free agent making choices in this moment that you are pretending are being made for you. 3 directions, 1 destination. Intentional living instead of reactive surviving. If you read all 3 back to back, something very specific happens. You start catching yourself in the middle of a story you have been telling about why you are stuck. And for the first time, you hear how it sounds. You start measuring your hours against what you actually value instead of what you think you are supposed to value. You start noticing exactly who you are performing for. And then you stop. Pick one. Start tonight. Do not wait for the timing to feel right, because it never does. The version of you that finishes the first book will want the second. And by the time you finish all 3, you will understand exactly what I said at the beginning. The person who started is already gone. Subscribe to Wonder Jenny and the Robot for more psychology, powerful books, relationships, and human behavior, where human wisdom meets AI intelligent. Because the more you understand people, the less you are controlled by confusion, emotion, and old patterns. And the more you understand yourself, the more power you have to change your life.